At 2 Patricia Street in Florence, Kentucky, doing a sanitary lateral inspection for the purchase of a home. We're looking for any structural issues, root intrusion, blockages, anything that would be a concern to the buyer. Now we're going through a clean out in a wall in the rear center of the basement. It's in the bathroom in the basement. And this is PVC. Based on the age of the house, I expect to find, I think, cast iron under the floor, unless it's been replaced, and possibly clay outside. So we're going to go in here, and I believe the main is in the street in the front, so we may have 100 feet or so to go, so probably a little less than that. But you can see there is there's the clean out right there. Here's the toilet, and there is the rest of the bathroom. And there we go. As soon as the clean out was probably installed on the stack, and we are in cast iron as soon as we get below the floor, or actually as soon as we get below the section with the clean out. So looks like looks pretty ugly here. This is fairly normal. It tends to wear a little hump in the bottom of the pipe. The very base of these stacks a lot of times. So sometimes it's a little bit of a problem to get it right past that first spot. I'm going to turn the microphone off so you don't have to hear me messing with this. I thought I was going to. Okay, so looks like we got past that, but now we're underwater. I probably have a bunch of stuff on the front of my camera. This is not looking good for the inspection here. Can't see anything. And we are completely underwater. Thinking we have a blockage in the line, but maybe not. I mean, we finally did get out of it. We'll have to see. I must have been pushing a lot of stuff there. Okay. The bad part is is that I have no way of getting a skid on this to raise the camera up above the cast iron because I had trouble enough getting the camera through. So I'm not going to be able to put anything to, you know, put a riser on that camera to lift it up out of the water if there is just a small amount. I mean, hopefully we'll be able to see a lot better when I pull back. This is cast iron, and it's you can see the channel worn away in the bottom of the pipe, which is normal for a cast iron pipe, but this looks like it's got a lot of scale, and you know, it looks like it's functioning, and we can run some water to kind of see how well it is down the line. But you know, cast iron is tough because you can never tell, you know, how much life is left in it. You can't tell how thick it is or thin it is based off of, you know, just looking at the interior of the pipe. Obviously, you know, there's a lot of rust on it and stuff that happens. It's a pretty normal look as far as all the rust on the pipe, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to see a lot better on the way back. I think I'm pushing more material. I'm kind of surprised that I'm still in cast iron 65, 66 feet out. So we're going to run some water in here also when I get out closer to the main. We'll try to witness, you know, how well it's flowing. I mean, cast iron is always ugly, but you want to try to check the flow, because like I said, it always does look kind of ugly, but you can see we're already at the main. And the only thing that isn't cast iron is the actual main, it looks like, so it's all the way out and tapped into the main in cast iron, which isn't really that common. Usually it would switch over to clay once it exited the house. Usually this was done in the early 70s a lot, more than any other time, but based on the way the cast iron looks, it could be a little older than that. But so it's normal to have rough cast iron and have it look great. It just or you know, have it not look great. It just doesn't, you know, with the amount of water that was in the pipe, I'm hoping that we can see a lot better on the way back, so we can get a little bit better idea of you know, what kind of shape the line is in overall. And we'll run some water and try to do some functional testing on it to see if we can get, you know, any better idea of how well it's functioning. Just a note, with any cast iron, really with any pipe whatsoever, you don't want to use any wet wipes in the line. It's something that with cast iron is made a lot worse because it can catch on those, you know, barnacles, for lack of a better word, the rust on the outside edges of the pipe, and can cause buildups pretty easily. So only toilet paper and natural natural additives. So yeah, and if you ever have a question about that, you can just run toilet paper and a wet wipe underneath, you know, a tap, and you'll see, you know, one disintegrates and the other one does not. So, but yeah, I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to run some water for a second and try to rinse the camera lens off so we can see what's going on. Okay, so there is still some water flowing. I ran the shower for a while. It's kind of hard to do just because it's so loud. There's a slop sink over in the other side of the basement, so I think I'm going to try to run that. Everything seemed to be flowing great. We're out at the main, and so I'm at least trying to give a little bit, like I mentioned before, a little bit of a functional test to see how well we're flowing in the cast iron, because and hopefully I can flush the line out a little bit, and maybe I can see better on the way back, and anything that may have been causing, you know, slight rises in the water in that cast iron, maybe we can flush all that stuff out and hopefully get a little bit better look at what we're at the pipe on the way back. So I'm going to go over and turn that slop sink on slightly and see how well we can do. Okay. So that is running, and hopefully it keeps the water level low enough to where it doesn't cause any issues either. If that's the case, we'll just have to deal with that when we get to it. So, according to the records, this house was built in 1933, which is a little surprising. Surprising for the material. Also, that there's cast iron all the way out to the main. And so, if it isn't 33, this cast iron is pretty old. And so, you know, you don't really know, like I mentioned before, how much life is left in it. There's ways to like descale all this stuff, and you can they run like a chain or a cutter through here to try to, you know, open this up. A lot of plumbers don't like to do that, only because it can, if there is a weak spot, it can also blow a hole in the side of the pipe. So, you know, like I mentioned before, a lot of this stuff is normal for cast iron. You know, you have a slight, like a channel in the bottom of the pipe there where the water flows, so it's kind of, you know, eroded away some of the pipe. And you also have some like mineral deposits or buildup on the outside edges a little bit, and the rust, which all kind of comes together to cause a little channel there. Doesn't mean anything. It's just with cast iron, as always, like I mentioned before, you got to definitely be diligent about not putting anything that you shouldn't down a pipe, which, you know, like I said, toilet paper is designed to fall apart, and so you have a lot less issues out of it. We ran the shower for quite a while, and it was flowing out at the main really well. So hopefully we can see all this, because right now structurally, you know, it looks good from the inside. You know, I don't see any holes or major damage at all. It's just all, you know, just ugly. We can definitely see a lot more so far on the way back than we could on the way out. So yeah, the thing with cast iron is, like I said, you can't really tell how good a shape or bad a shape it's in from the inside as far as how thin the walls are, but it looks like it's flowing. Again, we still have that water going in that slop sink over on the other side of the basement. That's why we have that flow. But the level's staying low, and it looks like everything is intact structurally. And we have a little bit of a belly. Hopefully we'll be able to see. I think I'm going to go turn this off. I'm going to push out just a little bit and get past that point again, and then I'm going to go turn that water off, because I think this is where, you know, the camera head is only like, the camera lens is only about a ½ inch off the bottom of the pipe, and because of that, it doesn't take much to cover it. You know, in a regular, you know, 4-inch pipe, which is probably down to about 3 with all the rust, you know, that's not a ton of water, but it just, you know, I'm not going to be able to inspect that section from there. When I'm underwater, obviously I can't see, so that's why we kind of run some water to try to, you know, check the functionality of it. But I'm going to pause again and go turn that water off. Okay, I'm going to pause the video here and mark this. This is the end of a belly, and then we're going to mark the sections, obviously, and make note when I was unable to unable to inspect the inside of the pipe just because of the cover of dirty water. So, okay, we're gonna stop here, and I'm going to locate this spot exactly. Alright, so we're about 25 feet off the house. The line goes straight out the back. There's a manhole in the rear right corner of the backyard if you're facing the house. And so, from about 37, 38 feet on the video, hopefully I'm able to see something soon. I mean, we will be running a flow test on it when everything is closed up also, because we can't run the stuff upstairs with the clean out cap off, obviously, on the stack. So yeah, this is kind of disappointing here that we're going to end up having. We may end up having 30 feet or so that we won't be able to inspect because of presumably a small belly. I don't know how small it is, but it's at least enough to get over the lens, which is, I just said, like an inch. But yeah, this is disappointing. Doesn't mean there's any problem, but it also doesn't mean there's not. All you can do at this point and see, it doesn't look like, I can see a good deal away, but you see how the water's bouncing back and forth there. So that is a low spot. What we can do, since I'm so close to the end, is I can try to run some water here, and now I'm back to that spot. I'm right at the bottom of the base of the stack. There we go. And so what I can try to do is get to that part where I can see, and then we try to run some water there. We got a little flash. There we go. Then the only other way to do it is do that functional test when the home inspector runs everything in the house at once and tries to get everything moving. And that'll tell also how well it can handle all the water. It doesn't, I mean, as you can see, I mean, the toilet is right off the bottom of this, and so, I mean, it does actually take the water with it pretty well. Just like I mentioned before, some precautions as far as not doing your, you know, not using anything but toilet paper, and it being, you know, staying cognizant of the pipe material and this belly, because it goes from this stack all the way out. It's low enough to where, you know. So another thing would be possibly to have a licensed plumber assess this, but you know, they'd be in the same boat, I guess, as far as, you know, you can't really see what's wrong. So there is a belly there, and that is from this stack all the way out to about 25 feet off the house, going straight out of the rear. And it is marked, the end of the belly is marked in the backyard. I will put a green flag. It will have paint and a green flag just to show how much of the pipe was unable to be inspected. But you can see when you flush that it actually takes a bunch of the water with it, and then once it settles, it raises the water level again in this area. So it is escaping, just unable to be fully inspected. The first like 38 feet, so it's almost half of the pipe. About 30 feet, because it's from like here 9 feet out to, you know, 38. So, but we're back vertical in the pipe, and so we are pulling out of the clean out. As you can see, it's a little nasty there, but there we go. But yeah, I said I made multiple notes about, you know, not using wet wipes, and, you know, just staying cognizant that this is there, and that 30 feet of pipe that's unable to be inspected. So that will end the inspection at 2 Patricia Street in Florence, Kentucky.